Morning everybody. So today's video is going to be about getting ready for bonfire night, or not really sort of the bonfire part of it, but the firework part of it. I wrote a blog about it a couple of years ago. I've had problems with fireworks in the past. Where I keep the horses now, there is a house two sort of gardens away that have huge firework displays on firework night, bonfire night. They didn't have one last year, and I don't think they're having one this year. They certainly haven't told me they're having one this year. But previous to that, they had 2 or 3 years in a row they had one, which I knew about. To be fair, they did let me know. However, the fireworks were so loud, there was nothing I could do to calm the horses down. I did lots to prepare for it, but it didn't really make a huge difference, and obviously that was before I had Tommy as well. So I thought I might talk to you about what you can do to try and get your horse through firework night with at least stress possible. But first I've got to go and check on the boys and see how they're doing. So the boys are in the field. It is a bit gloomy today, but it's dry. So Basil and Chesney are here, either side of their section, and Tommy's in his section. I want to put them back together as soon as Tommy's leg is spot on. And now I think, or I'm hoping, that I will be able to take his bandage off today and not put a new one on. It is healing well. Chesney's nosy Chesney spotted me. It is raining a tiny little bit actually. I said it wasn't raining, and it is. Tommy's got a blue bandage on today, so we'll go and say hello. Actually looks like I don't need... Oh, Tommy was coming. He stopped now. Raining, Thomas. What have you done to the weather? The camera's wet now. Do you reckon, Chesa? Got splodges on the lens. Basil doesn't care. How's your leg? How's your blue leg? Got splodges on the camera. Hello. Hello. Hi, darling. How are you doing? You alright? Good boy. How's your leggy? Be nice not to have that on anymore. Be nice to be out with your friends, won't it? Hey? Hello? Hello? Bit damp on the rain. Are you, or are you sweaty? Basil has come over. Let's go through the fence. Under the fence. Hello. You, how are you? You're not hot. Hey? Chesney's hot. Why is Chesney hot? He's too fairy, isn't he? What am I going to do with you, Chesney? So I've taken Chesney's rug off. Basil, I'm going to leave his on because I don't really want him to get wet, because I'd like to clip him later, and he doesn't have a thicker coat as well anyway, so he should be fine today. Chesney has got quite a woolly coat because of his Cushing's really, so I think that's why he's got a little bit warm today. But it's raining. Tommy is very hairy, aren't you? And it's raining. Make my camera wet, Tom. Anyway, I'll take this rug in and we'll go and get out the rain, I think. But as I said earlier, this video really is about getting ready for bonfire night, for the fireworks and things, I have tried several things in the past, which I think for most people will work really fine. I think I'm just going to go in the tap room because it's raining. I think one of the key things is keeping them in their normal routine. So if they're normally in at night, keep them in. If they're normally in the field at night, keep them out, because that automatically makes them feel more chilled out if they are in a routine that they are used to, if that's possible. Obviously, if you've got somebody having a huge display very close and you're worried your horses are going to run around and bang into each other, which has happened, I have read about in the past, then you might want to rethink that. But I think for most people whose horses might be close to houses that are going to have set off 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or something, then the normal sort of things and keeping their horse in the normal routine will be fine. Things slightly change if you are very close to a professional display, but we can talk about that shortly. As I say, so for normal things, keeping them in a normal routine. If they're stabled, keep all the lights on, and that makes the lights in the sky less obvious for them, and with the less obvious for them with the contrast between the light obviously in the dark when the fireworks go up into the dark sky. Also useful, another thing you can do is play music, and that drowns a lot of them out. You might want to, or it's usually a good idea to get your horse used to music first, so don't go in on bonfire night and turn the music up really loud. You can start off having a radio or your iPod playing quietly, and then slowly increase it so they get used to it being quite loud, and that will drown out a lot of the normal average fireworks noises. So those are sort of 3 things that I've done in the past, most often. You can, if your horse has a more serious aversion to fireworks, think about sedation. You can get a complimentary sedative. Well, it's not really a sedative, it's you can give it to your horse for stressful situations, and I tried it a couple of years ago. It's called Zylkene, something like that. I probably pronounced it really badly. I did write a blog review about it, so I'll put a link in the box below to that. I didn't find it helped at all. I gave it to Chesney and Basil. You have to give it to them for, if I remember, a few days in advance in their feed, and it sort of builds up in their system, in that it sort of tries to really relax them. As I say, I found it didn't work, but my fireworks situation a couple of years ago was quite different to your average situation with fireworks. You could get the vet to sedate. You could try settle in, which you can, which is a paste you get from the vet. So they obviously need to know your horse, but I think you can administer that yourself. That's a paste that you can give them. Obviously it's a certain amount. You certainly used to be able to give it yourself because it's a paste like a wormer. I'm not sure, to be honest, if the rules have changed, so don't quote me on that. Or obviously you could get the vet to come and actually sedate your horse, like I have Chesney sedated for the dentist. Lots of people have their horses sedated for the dentist, but obviously then that's going to be generally out of hours. Some vets may not do it, I'm not sure. You need to know when the fireworks are going to start, so they need to have had the sedation before the fireworks start, so that they are calm to start with, because it doesn't work if they're not calm to start with. But still, some horses can override it if they get so stressful. When Basil went to have his tooth out, and I knew Chesney would get very stressed about that, we gave Chesney some sedative, the same one he has when the dentist comes. Before we moved Basil, before really he knew anything was going to happen, but he overrode it totally. He doesn't for the dentist, but he gets so stressed when we took Basil away in the trailer that it made no difference. So that's worth considering. It doesn't always work. So when I heard about the big firework display a few years ago that was up the road, and I have written a blog about this and I have talked about this in the past, because it was the most stressful evening. I had 2 years in a row and it was horrendous. The first year I knew about it, but I didn't know they were going to be as loud as they were. I'm not sure if it was any better the second year when I knew how loud they were going to be. But the second year I did try some different things. I tried to find a way of getting the horses used to the noises of fireworks. They were used to music. Now this was before I had Tommy again, when I had Fidget. And Fidget has always been quite good. I mean, he didn't come from a great start in life either, but he was never very hugely stressed by loads of stuff, but he did feed off the others, so he was less of a concern. I knew if I could sort Chesney and Basil out, Fidget would be okay. So I was trying to find a way of getting them used to the noise of fireworks, and I think there is a piece of classical music that had fireworks in, which I can't remember what it's called now. So I did find that and I tried that, but then I thought about people who have CDs or tapes or that used to be, that they could play to get their cats and dogs used to funny noises. And I looked on the internet, because you can find everything on the internet, and I found this CD, so I purchased it. Now it has a huge number of noises, so it's good for lots of things. It has trains and aeroplanes and helicopters and motorbikes and cars and sirens and washing machines and lawnmowers and stuff on, but it also has quite a lot of firework variations on there, and crow scarers and gunfire and thunder and lightning and things. So I purchased this this CD, and I started off, so I don't know if you can see that, it has the light shining on. Let me move. So it has several different firework noises on there. I want to tell you that the professional firework display on this CD is not as loud as the firework display that they have up the road from me. But that might be because I couldn't get my stereo to play it loud enough. I started it really quiet. I got the CD onto my iPod because it was way easier to bring my small docking station here to play that. So I started that off really quietly, and then slowly increased it in loudness. So they got used to that here, and they to start with they were, oh, what's that, but they totally got used to it. Then I decided that the docking station could not get it loud enough, so I've still got quite an old stereo system with separate speakers and stuff, so I brought that down with and played the CD on that. That I could get quite a lot louder, and they slowly got used to that as well. And I think I did that over a period of 2 weeks, playing the CD or the sounds of the fireworks, and they did get totally used to it. I had the stereo ramped up on the loudest I could get it, but it still wasn't as loud as the firework display, and to be honest I'm not sure if it made any difference at all to their reaction on the night. They had got used to listening to the sounds I was playing, and they would just eat through it and practically ignore it, but there was no chance of that on the night. So it didn't work for me, but as I said, this was very close, literally 2 or 3 gardens away, sides of the garden, so little, you know, not far away, and the fireworks were going off behind the stables, over the farmer's barn behind, and you've seen that where that is. So you've seen the barn before, I think, so you can see the barn just over there, and they were practically going off in the sky above the barn there. They were exceptionally close. So most people are not going to have their professional firework displays that close, because most professional firework displays are at rugby grounds, football grounds, that sort of thing, and it's less likely to be horses that close, or as close as I am to that. So I would certainly recommend trying that playing that CD or something similar, because there are other ones you can get to try and get your horse used to them. The other thing I did get, I got last year actually, and I did try, I mean luckily I didn't need them in the end, were these, they're called POMs, as you can see. They're earplugs, and they're like soft golf balls sort of thing. I'll see if, oh, I was going to see if I could get one out. And so they're really soft, and you put them in their ears. They're a really good idea. Only thing is, I was really nervous about, I tried them in Chesney's ears, and I don't know how far you're supposed to push them in. So I put one in Chesney's ear, sort of gently, not wanting to push it in, and he kept it in for like 10 seconds, and then he just shook his head and it popped out. So obviously I think maybe I didn't push it in hard enough, but with their ears it's a bit of a worry. Basil, I did get it in for about 3 seconds and he shook his head and it came out. So I think I was probably being a little bit extra careful, but you worry about putting them in the ears. And it doesn't really say anything on the package about, it just says gently roll them into the ear canal for a snug fit. Well, when I put it in Chesney's ear it felt quite snug, but I didn't want to push it in any harder, so tried them as well. They might work for you, so that's another option. So there's a few ideas of things for you to try for fireworks bonfire night. I hope some of them help for you. I am going to try this year to play the CD like I did last year, just to try and help Tommy, because some of the other neighbours might have 1 or 2 or 3 just quiet ones in their garden, so it's nice to help him get used to them. But we're not going to have a big display this year up the road, so fingers crossed it will go fine this year. I hope you have a nice firework and bonfire night, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching, bye.